Do me for hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to another episode of Hold This L with your host, Lonnie and Cappel. We are back. It has been a while. I feel like we owe y'all an explanation. But before we get there, what's going on, cuz? How you doing, man?
Man, chilling. What's good, bro, man? I'm glad to be back, man. It's been a while, man. We hadn't gotten to these sports and stuff, and obviously, things are gonna be a little different. So I'm excited. I'm real excited. How about you?
Same here. Things are gonna be a little different. We had to reformat the show, y'all. We had an idea of what we wanted to do, and we kind of like got off track, and we had to stop, take a deep breath, and say what it is that we want to do. What do we love talking about with sports? And what we love talking about is sports topics. We love talking about, we love debating. So we're gonna give y'all that. We're gonna give y'all the news, sports news, and we're gonna give you from our perspectives. And it's gonna be fire, it's gonna be good, So I mean, that's why we was out. We had our little break. Everything is back to normal, and we are going to be releasing episodes ready for y'all to listen to Monday mornings every week. So glad y'all hung in, and let's get it popping. You ready to get this sports going, man? All right. So a lot has happened. We missed the Super Bowl. We missed the college championships. We missed a lot of stuff, but we're going to jump into what's hot right now. And just recently we had the NBA trade deadline hit, and we had some winners and we had some losers. The teams that are mostly affected, in our opinion, are the Bulls, the Nuggets, Celtics, Trailblazers, Clippers, and the Heat. So just for y'all who didn't pay attention to the actual trades, the Bulls now have Nikola Vucevic, that was the big piece that they received. They got a couple other pieces. I think they got a Minu, I think they got I can't remember everybody, but Vucevic was the big piece. The Nuggets received Aaron Gordon. The Celtics received Evan Fournier. The Trailblazers received Norman Powell. The Clippers received Rajon Rondo, and the Heat picked up Oladipo. So let's just briefly talk about like how these teams are. Do you think they are affected? Because the only team that may not be a contender, and I'm not sure on the record for the Bulls, that's the only team that may not be a playoff team, but they may be in the East. I don't know. The East is not very strong, but Vucevic definitely makes them better. But just based on those teams I said, man, who like talk to me about like who really do you feel upgraded?
Bulls. The Bulls, to me, upgraded the most. With all the trades that went on, getting Vucevic, Vucevic is arguably top 2 or 3 in centers in the league. I mean, it's not even really arguably when it comes to top 2 or 3. To go along, the only thing the Bulls, in my opinion, were missing was a big man. That was a big piece that they were missing. They were horrible. We both know when it came to the Bulls, they're horrible against centers. If you had a center in fantasy, he could be the worst center in the league. You still played him against the Bulls. That's just how bad they are. So in my opinion, actually I think by the end of the year they will be a playoff team. I think they may be able to sneak in. I don't know how far off they are, but if they're close enough, they will be able to sneak in. I think Vucevic is that good. I kind of told you before, I have no faith in what Aaron Gordon brings to the Nuggets. I don't think that's going to matter that much as far as that team goes. Rajon Rondo for the Clippers. That's big. That's big. You can't get around it. I mean, he know the Lakers. He played with them last year. So that's important. But I mean, no, the biggest impact, the biggest impact. The biggest impact is, what's going on in Brooklyn, what they got going on. Other than that, I mean, we'll get to that in a second. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get your take on it, because
you can throw the Nets in there as far as the Blake Griffin acquisition, because that was part of the trade deadline, even though it did happen on the day of the trade deadline. So we can talk about the other part a little later. But you can talk about Brooklyn as far as picking up Blake Griffin, and how do you think that sets them apart from everybody, if it sets them apart from anybody?
Exactly why I didn't say anything. But I don't think Blake Griffin makes that much of an impact at all. I I haven't seen Blake Griffin be really good, even in his last couple of years with the Clippers. I didn't feel like he was really that good. I mean, he was okay, but I never really just was like, oh my gosh, they got Blake Griffin. Like that's just I'm not that high on him. I really never have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like a few teams. I'm gonna start with the Nuggets. I don't feel like they upgraded at all. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, that makes them a contender now." Let's not forget that they were in the Western Conference Championship last year against the Lakers. They were a contender before they got Gordon. So does Aaron Gordon push them over the hump? No, he does not. Aaron Gordon is a good player. He's not a great player. He's not a superstar talent. Aaron Gordon is really a high quality role player. That's what he is. He's not a number two, not even really a number three, in my opinion. If Aaron Gordon went to a team like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nets, yes, he would clearly upgrade that team because he's a high profile role type player, in my opinion, who can do a lot of things. But he just went to a team in the Nuggets that he basically fit the same profile as several other people on the team. He's not much different as far as what he's going to produce than Will Parton. He's not much different as far as what he's going to produce than Michael Porter. Like, they're all really good role players. Jermichael Green, lower tier role player. They're really deep. The only two guys that are bona fide on that team are Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. And they're like second tier stars in the NBA. And they're not enough to push them over the threshold. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are not enough to push them over the threshold. So adding somebody like Aaron Gordon, that didn't really move the needle. They needed to add at least another second tier star. Like yeah. They don't have a Harden or a Durant or a LeBron or an AD or a Kawhi. Like, those to me are like first tier stars. If you're gonna have a big three of a big three on your team that are all equal in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, you need a third one, but somebody that does something different. You don't need another big jump man that's good. You don't need another point guard. So a wing person would be great, but Aaron Gordon, even though he's a wing player, he's not that player to push you over the hump. So I started with the Nuggets simply because that's what most people have been saying. Like, Nuggets, like, look at that starting five. I'm like, look at it. Plus, Aaron Gordon stay hurt. They ain't even gonna guarantee he gonna be there when the playoffs come. You know what I'm saying? So I just before I even talk about other teams, what's your thoughts on the Nuggets, man? You have no thoughts on the Nuggets? Okay, all right. Well, let's move.
I mean, it didn't help. I mean, yeah. Okay, he's more athletic. Aaron Gordon is good. Let's give him that. I mean, he's a good player, dang good player. He's not helping that team in no way, shape, form, or fashion. I can't even find a way to argue with you and defend Aaron Gordon because we both feel the same way about Aaron Gordon. So, yeah, we can move on from that, man. The Nuggets ain't going nowhere.
Well, the team that I really like the most as far as they move is the Miami Heat. And the reason why I like the Miami Heat, see, people sleeping on the Heat because a lot of people don't get a Heat. They just desserts, man. They feel like, oh, they just got lucky in the bubble, Nobody gave him a chance against the Lakers. Well, they didn't deserve a chance against the Lakers. I'm not saying that, but they beat Giannis and the Bucks. Really good team. They beat the Celtics. Really good team. They've had a lot of issues this year. They were one of the teams that suffered because of COVID, having a lot of people have to sit out for a while. That really hurt them. They're climbing back into it, but Butler came back and Butler been on a tear. They are 8th right now in the playoffs in the East. They just picked up Oladipo. Oladipo to the Nuggets, that would have made me look at the Nuggets like, oh, okay, they looking real good. Still, the Lakers are too strong in my opinion, but that would have needed to be like a superstar to go to the Nuggets for me to think differently about them getting past the Lakers. But it clearly would have upgraded the Nuggets if they got somebody like an Oladipo, because that's a different type of player that they don't have. But the Heat got him. And Oladipo is a defender. He fits perfectly with the Heat. Jimmy Butler grinding as a defender, playing good offense. Adebayo grinding as a defender, playing good offense. You throw Oladipo in the mix, defender. He's a slasher. I mean, he can finish at the bucket. He can create his own shot. And then you do Trevor Ariza. You got Trevor Ariza, who they got from OKC, and he already got a veteran in Iguodala. Tyler Hero, we know what he does. Kendrick Nunn is picking his game up. I really feel like people are sleeping on Miami. I feel like Miami got better than anybody else in this trade by this trade deadline with picking up Oladipo, and that Ariza play actually helps them as well. The people that I think absolutely lost, the Celtics, man. Like, I mean, they got rid of Tice. I mean, in my opinion, Tice was really good for them for how they play. He wasn't the problem. They added another shooter in Fournier. Do they need another shooter? I mean, you never can lose with having shooters, but Evan Fournier is not a great defender, and the Celtics were previously to this year were one of the better defending teams. So you didn't really bring anybody in to help bring back that identity that you had. You still got the same core players for the most part in Kemba, Tatum, Brown, and Smart. I mean, Fournier is going to come off the bench. I mean, I can't see him starting, because that means that Tatum going to have to play the 5. You think that's the only other option is Smart coming off the bench because because Kemba's not, and of course Brown and Tatum's not, and they're going to need Tristan Thompson or Robert Williams to start at the 5. So I didn't like that move, and I mean, and the reason why I'm bringing Celtics up is because they are a team who had high expectations, and they are achieving very, very, very below their expectations. So if they were going to make a move, the move needed to be something that you were going to look at and say, yes, they made a move that's going to make them better. And I just don't feel that way. So I have to say that they probably lost out on the NBA by the trades that they made, the trade that they made or whatever. So I have to give them a loss for this one. But the other teams, I mean, they're all neutral. The Trailblazers got Norman Powell. That helps them. Doesn't push them over the hump. The Clippers got Rondo. This is my opinion about that. Rondo was great for the Lakers in the playoffs, but Rondo officially ran a team as a second point guard the way that LeBron ran the team. So did you bring Rondo to start at your point guard position and run your team as a whole? Because how is that going to work if he's coming off the bench as the point guard that you need? That doesn't make sense. See, the Lakers were able to continue their offense with a point guard who could play just like LeBron as far as the vision that he had, set up the offense, controlling things. Plus, he was a defender. Rondo stays hurt. He can't play 34, 35 minutes a game. At least he hasn't done that in years. So you add in Rondo, great. If he was coming to be a supplement to your team, why is he there? What is his role going to be? That's the questions that I have. If he's going to start, they're going to move Beverly to the bench and he's going to start. Okay, upgrade. And if he can stay healthy and play that position and run the team, great. I just don't think that's what he's going to be doing there. I think they're going to put him off the bench. And I don't know. I just don't feel like it was. I don't feel like it was a great signing, man.
I think I have to disagree with you on that one. I think he's an upgrade. I think he's going to help Paul George and Kawhi Leonard because I do think he's going to start.
Well, that's what I said. If he does that, he's an upgrade. If he starts, he's an upgrade. If he's not starting, he's coming off the bench. And he's going to be playing with other bench role players. Yes, he's going to be in the game with Kawhi and Paul George, but the dynamic of the team to me doesn't run the same if you have the person that you brought in to run your team coming off the bench. So if he's not going to start, I don't feel like it was much of an upgrade because I don't see how that's going to create a chemistry with the team if that's going to be your main guy to run your offense. It don't make sense to me. I'd have to see it. I don't know, but I'm not an NBA coach, so
Yeah, but he is pretty good at running second units, man.
Yeah. Who's on the second unit that he's going to be able to make effective? They left Lou Williams.
They got Terrence Mann.
I mean, they were deep last year without having a true point guard, and they added a point guard, and they're not as deep as they were last year. Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, that matters. I know Serge Ibaka, a lot of people saw him as an upgrade. He's an upgrade to scoring, but I don't believe he was an upgrade overall. Montrezl Harrell added a lot more to that team defensively, hustle wise. His scoring was based off of hustle and putbacks. Serge Ibaka don't do that. He'll give you threes. He'll stretch the floor. But then he's only playing like 25 minutes a game anyway. It's not like he putting up big minutes and he's out there. I just don't know about the Clippers, man. I don't like the dynamic of how their team is being ran, and I don't really think they got enough pieces. But Rondo's a good pickup. They didn't lose in that trade. I just don't see it as being a bigger deal as everybody else,
Yeah, I feel you.
Anything else you want to add to the trade deadline before we move on to the next topic?
No, that was. I mean, let's go.
All right.
We already know what it is.
The two biggest, one of the moves that people were looking for was the move for Lonzo Ball. A lot of people thought they was going to go to the Clippers. That would have been a nice pickup. Ball and Rondo, that would have been nice. I ain't gonna lie. But and another one was Lowry. A lot of people thought the Lakers were going to pick up Lowry. But that didn't happen. But Lamarcus Aldridge and Andre Drummond, both players who Drummond was looking to be shot. He was being shopped around. Nobody picked him up primarily because of his contract. And the San Antonio Spurs just agreed to, with a buyout with Aldridge. And everybody knew that the two teams that they would most benefit to sign with would be the Lakers and the Nets. And news this weekend has come out that Aldridge is signing with the Nets, and that Drummond the Lakers are the front runners to sign Andre Drummond. So let's talk, cuz what's the breakdown of this now in the NBA? How does this affect the Nets? How does it affect the Lakers? Which one is better? Who's gonna win it all? All that good stuff. What's up?
Lakers, and Lakers. It was easy to answer those three questions. We're gonna get Drummond, and I feel like that easily makes us the best starting five in the league. Like I told you, I even feel like this time without LeBron and without AD is gonna really help Kuzma and bring him along. And I feel like a starting five with LeBron, Schroeder, Kuzma, AD to go along with Andre Drummond, man, that's nasty. Then we got Harrell coming off the bench. We got depth. We got a lot of depth. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Alex Caruso. Wesley Matthews. We got a ton of depth. So, I like the moves. Look, the Nets just went and signed a whole bunch of people. I guess they needed those stretch fours and Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, but I don't really look at them and be like, oh my God, they just went and signed. LaMarcus Aldridge wasn't doing nothing with the Spurs when he was the man, when he got the opportunity to get the ball, shoot the ball 15 times. I just don't think. I know he's gonna benefit getting a lot more wide open shots and stuff like that. But when you got Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and KD, how many shots are going to be available for you a game anyway? And Blake Griffin. All of them can't get the ball. And I don't think any of them can play defense. None of them. You got a team full of people who can't play defense, and you're just hoping they outscore everybody. That don't work in the playoffs. Because let's be honest, even Golden State, as lethal as they are offensively, they were one of the best defensive teams going along with their run. They just weren't just outscoring people. They stopped people. So, with that being said, if you want to talk about who's looking at all the moves, assuming Drummond does go to the Lakers, who's the best overall offensively and defensively? The Lakers. Cut and dry.
Yeah, it's not pretty. It's cut and dry to me. I still had the Lakers as my favorite. I feel like integrating one piece into an already established offense and defense is much easier. So, and then of course you have LeBron and AD, two of the top 5 players in the country. And they have really good role players that know what they're supposed to do. And so a lot of that has to do why I still have the Lakers. I think Andre Drummond is a very important piece to add to that team and definitely needed. They still have Gasol, who I think would be much better coming off the bench, playing with the second unit against second unit players. He may be more effective in that role than being a starter. But when I look at the Nets, the reason why I'm not 100% agreeing is because they have a lot of pieces, but we don't know how they're going to work and how they're going to gel. When I look at Blake Griffin, I don't look at him the way I used to, but in his role that he's going to have with them, that's top notch. Like if you told me I could have Blake Griffin to play my number 4 or 5 role or 6 or 7, I'd be like, give me that, because he's still really good. He's still really, really good. I think about players who are somewhere they don't want to be and they don't play motivated and how people automatically say they washed. I think about Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Now, they're not in the league anymore, but when they were in New York, everybody was like they were washed. They were done. And why did Cleveland make that trade? Motivation. They were still players. They were still good at that time. They still had a lot of left in the tank. They was playing in New York. They didn't want to play with the Knicks. They had no reason to play. As soon as they came to Cleveland, everybody saw why that was a good trade. So how much is it that Lamarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin are washed, and how much is it that they are not motivated because they know that they're on teams that are not going nowhere and they don't want it and they don't have that drive? You know, the San Antonio Spurs, they knew they wasn't going to get much for a player like Lamarcus Aldridge as far as how much how much his contract was worth, and you know, and that he wasn't going to be motivated to keep playing. Same thing with Blake Griffin. It was for Detroit. You can tell the injury management, him not playing as many games, stuff like that. That wasn't because they had chances of winning the championship. That was him. They were trying to get rid of him, and they knew that they couldn't really do that, you know, with the amount of money that they had. So they had to basically keep him preserved so they could get something out of that situation. And now the Nets have both of them. When you make Lamarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin your role players, that's strong on any team, because you're not expecting them to be what they used to be as far as trying to lead a team. They're not even your 2s and 3s. They're literally your 4, 5, 6, and 7s, depending on, you know, the rotation and them coming off the bench. The problem with the Nets was that they didn't have any depth. Now they have depth. And not only do they have depth, they have probably the most quality depth in any team in the league. So it's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to them gelling together. It's going to come down to a lot of things. But I can't just write them off and say that the Lakers got it, no doubt. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Like we'll see once everybody get there. Of course, we got to wait on Durant to get back. We know Kyrie coming back. He just had a baby. Congratulations to him. That's why he was out these last 3 games. But I mean, I just don't see. I can't write the Nets off just like that. You got to be making a
defense.
You're right. You're right. They can't play defense. And I didn't say anything about the defense. I'm not giving them credit for that. They didn't sign anybody that's going to help their defense. Although I will say their defense has gotten better than what it was when they first started this year. They have their defense's efficiency has gotten better. Now,
Drummond,
I still don't
25 rebounds a game.
That's if they get there. You know, I'm still not. I'm not eliminating the 76ers. The Nets to the championship. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, the 76ers, clearly you see how strong Embiid is. I mean, clearly you see how important Embiid is. Like the 76ers seem like a different team without Embiid. And Embiid was on a tear. And he's going to be back. You know, he's just out right now. And that may affect their seeding because they were the number 1 team in the East. They may still be. I don't know. But they may not be there by the time Embiid comes back. But the 76ers are a beast, man. They good. Like Doc Rivers got that team going. You know,
Tobias Harris is a different animal, bro. Tobias Harris is the truth.
Exactly. So I'm not willing to, you know, just give the Nets the East, but they have the pieces they need. It's gonna be a matter of how they're gonna put it together. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, look, whoever comes out of the East.
Oh, they gonna have. I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that either right now.
If we get Drummond, as we're all expecting it to happen, nobody's beating the Lakers in the East, bro. If we get Drummond, I mean, bro, it's just not happening. I wasn't even thinking about the Gasol factor, where you can just play him 15 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And you know, another man, Drummond is 27 years old. He looked like he's 45.
Yeah, he's
But
still
dude is
young.
27 years
Yeah,
old.
he's still a young player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about this, Cap. You know how we're talking about those players that's not motivated?
Yeah.
He having games of 20 and 25, and he ain't motivated. He been playing in Cleveland and Detroit. He ain't even had a chance, not even a slim chance, at actually playing for something. Imagine what he could do.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be exciting, man. It's gonna be exciting. It really is.
Like, dude,
I can't wait till LeBron get back just to see what that dynamic look like without AD.
man, they said
you know,
I read something 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, he gonna be out. He gonna be out to the playoffs, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, he probably come back before the playoffs. I'm pretty sure he could probably come back before the playoffs.
It ain't gonna be much sooner.
It ain't gonna be much sooner, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to set a deadline to get him back, just so he can get some games in, because that's gonna be hard for him to come back during, like, right at the playoffs or during the playoffs, and have a new piece like Drummond, and he hadn't been playing with AD. AD been out, so I'm pretty sure, LeBron, he heals quickly. He works hard, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna hit that deadline before the playoffs. But hey, breaking news, man, just came through. NFL news alert. The NFL is expected to expand the regular season to 17 games this week, per ESPN Adam Scheffler. What you think about an extra game during the NFL season?
Okay. To me, what's the point?
Well, you know what the point is for the owners.
I know what the point is for the owners, but my point is the last couple of weeks of the NFL season, most of the starters don't even play anyway. The ones that's already clinched, unless it's a close playoff race between a couple of teams. But besides that, the last game or two, we all know, especially in fantasy, if you're a fantasy player, most of the time, those last week or two, you're playing a lot of subs and different things like that anyway. Those games don't even usually matter. So why would you add another one? That, to me, that it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, besides the money factor, I mean, you're definitely not looking out for the players' health. It usually, like I said, it doesn't mean anything unless at the end of the season you just want to give other players an opportunity to showcase themselves, because it most likely won't be the starters. I guess you do add another game, you can make it a little bit more competitive, and maybe teams will be in it for a little bit longer and make the season as a whole more competitive. But it's still going to be the same premise. When you get to those last 2 or 3 games, they're not going to matter.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering what the purpose is as well. I know more information is going to come out. I'm wondering if there's some type of scheme associated with it, like we're adding another game and this is going to be the dynamic of that game and why it's going to be important. Maybe they're taking away a preseason game, so essentially they may have the same amount of games, but of course, you have certain players playing more because those starters don't really play a lot of the preseason. So if you take away one of those games and add one to the regular season, those starters are going to play more during the year. I don't know the dynamic of the logistics of why they came up with that decision, but I'm with you. I don't see the purpose of it besides it being a money grab. That's the biggest thing. The owners are trying to make more money, because you take away a preseason game which don't make no revenue, they generate hardly no revenue, and then add to a regular season game which is going to generate many more millions to billions or whatever. I don't know what the numbers are. That's clearly a money grab, and of course I'm pretty sure and now that I'm thinking about it, I would be very surprised if they still have 4 preseason games and then another game at the end of the year. They're probably going to take away from the preseason games, and of course they're going to say, well, you have the same amount of games, you just have 1 less preseason and 1 more regular season, and that's not the same to the NFL players. But it is what it is. A lot of fans probably going to love it because the fans don't give a shit about the players' well-being and their health. But I think it's a waste of time. I don't think it makes any sense. And I mean, I hate it for the players to have to play another regular season game that's meaningless simply because owners want revenue. So moving on, we have a few minutes left. can't forget to touch on March Madness. It's been a roller coaster ride. It hasn't been the same. No Duke in this tournament. No Kentucky. We used to them being, top 1, 2, 3 seeds and being favorites to win it all. They didn't even make it to the tournament this year. It's been a crazy NCAA season for basketball. But we are coming to the Elite Eight. My bracket was busted from day one. I mean, I followed college basketball pretty decently this year under the circumstances because I played a little fantasy, so it forces you to. But I didn't follow it as much as I normally do. And, a lot of teams crept up like Oral Roberts. A lot of people knew about Oral Roberts. I didn't. Oral Roberts, their Cinderella story. Unfortunately, they lost to Arkansas by 2 yesterday, 72-70. And that was an incredible story, though. I was rooting for them, to be honest with you. I was hoping that they made it to the Elite Eight, but they didn't quite get there. But my bracket, although it's busted, my team that I got winning it all is still there, and that's Gonzaga. Big whoop. Everybody got Gonzaga winning. They're the only undefeated team in the country, and they're looking to be the one of the, not the first, but the team that wins it all undefeated in many, many years. I can't remember the exact date of the last team to do that, but I think it's a team like 20, 30 years ago, but the last team to win it, and they were undefeated. So I got that going for my bracket, but we still got some good teams in there. We still got Baylor in. We still got Alabama in. Creighton is playing Gonzaga today. Who else is? Michigan is still in. They're number 1 seed. They're playing today. And by this time next week, we'll know who the champion is. So anything you want to add to March Madness before we get out of here? You got anybody hold this L?
No, man, I can hold up. Let me. I gotta brag real quick on myself. I got a few picks, actually in the Sweet 16. Creighton being one of them, Gonzaga, of course, Florida State, Alabama. Just had to brag on myself. Also Baylor, I'm still riding with Baylor. I'm just, I did a lot of this on a whim, so I just had to kind of brag on myself that I still got a few teams in there.
But is it worth bragging when you just obviously like let us all know that you just kind of guessed at your bracket? Like, what is there to brag about? That you guess good?
that I have skills. When you have kind of skills, you can watch little notes and just look at things really quickly and process things and be able to get a lot of this stuff right, man.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I'm gonna show you the skill one day. I'm gonna show you the skill. I can't give all my secrets away.
Hey, do your thing, cuz. Do your thing. You got anybody holding the L this week?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Who you got holding the L?
Lamarcus Aldridge.
Explain.
Man, pull yourself together, man. There's a whole bunch of teams you could have went to, including us.
For the people listening, who is us? I know who you're talking about. I just want to make sure everybody know.
Everybody know who us is when it comes to me. The Lakers. But I feel like it was a lot of other teams he could have went to and made a different impact or a better impact. I feel like going to the Nets after Blake Griffin, I don't understand the move. I really don't. To me, like that wasn't, it just wasn't a smart move, man. I feel like it was a lot of other teams that you could have got a lot more playing time and probably had a bigger role. So it looks to me like you just wanted the easy way out. Like, hopefully you just fall into a championship versus trying to go actually compete for one. And I'm not saying go to a team and try to carry them. I mean, there was several teams out there like a Miami or teams like that you could have went to and been like that third option to put them over the hump. Boston, for example, and you went to the Nets. So, man, you got to hold this L, man. That was man.
I mean,
that was a Kevin Durant move, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him the L, but I do understand exactly what you're saying. But again, that goes to that competitiveness because years ago, Damian Lillard kind of talked about it. When Lamarcus Aldridge left and went to the San Antonio Spurs, is like he was looking for something easier rather than sitting there and working for it. And it kind of goes into this, he could have went to a team. He could have went to the Bucks. That would have been a great pickup. Somebody like that, mid-range jumper, big man. That could have been a good, move for him, whether he was going to come off the bench or add him to the starting lineup. The Celtics, that would have been a good move. Hey, he could have went to the Sixers. They could have used somebody like Aldridge, you go to the Nets, who are already the front runners, who already have like a superstar laden team, and then they have a bunch of role players like DeAndre Jordan, who people saw as a star, Blake Griffin, who people saw as a star. Now you're throwing Lamarcus Aldridge into that. So yeah, it does seem like the easy way out. I wouldn't quite give him Kevin Durant. He has Kevin Durant's mentality, but I wouldn't quite put him in that category. If Lamarcus Aldridge was like top, no. If he was top 5, if he was top 5, top 10 still, and you got to add that part. You got to add the part in there. If he was just beat by this team in the playoffs and then went to play with him the next year, that's the biggest part of Durant. Is if he would have went to the Warriors, without them playing him in the playoffs, I'd have been like, man, that's still kind of weak. You went to the best team in the league and you're supposed to be one of the best. But this team just whooped your ass in the playoffs. Y'all was up 3-2. They came back and embarrassed you. And then you went and play for them. That's the biggest thing that will set Kevin Durant apart from many people for years to come.
Look, that's what I said. Durant, it was Durant light. It wasn't Durant all the way. It was Durant light, man. Like, come, bro, you could have did something better. Like, for real. Like, it just don't make no sense to me. That's why he got to get this L, man. I feel like it was a whole bunch of teams he could have went to and been a lot more integral part than what he's going to be with the Brooklyn Nets, and actually maybe possibly have taken him over the hump if he has what you think he may have left when he's playing motivated for a team, or what he could have left. So with that being said, man, it was weak. It was weak, and he got to get this L.
Overall, I agree with you. Overall. I mean, that's I don't really have anything else to add to that, and I don't have anybody holding this L. It's been slow, man. It's been slow, but we got one person holding this L. That's all we need. But that's gonna conclude our show. Again, glad to be back and more to come. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share and follow and all that good stuff. This is Hold This L. I am Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie.
And we out. Deuces.
Peace.